the things that the city council is doing behind closed doors that we didn't know about. And you gotta wonder who these people are serving if they keeping us out of the loop at almost every turn.
What Tina Clay say when she was on WMPR? She was like, ever since Horn came in office, it's been things going on. Some
She said you can go back to day one.
Day one.
And see it.
Now, Tina Clay telling y'all this. I'm just saying.
I also heard he said something that was not consistent with that today in court.
That's right.
So we talked about that a little bit as well. So I'm not gonna say he perjured himself in court, but it's not looking good.
And that's and we got to touch on both of those things. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, I hate to say happy Monday because it may not be the happiest of Mondays, but I think that prepared people are better than unprepared people, right? So I think that, you know, as the young man alluded to, did you talk about the post that we put up this morning?
No, I didn't get a chance.
Okay, and that's fine. I just want to make a point of it that this is something that we've seen stretching, and what I mean by that is this. We like to be very realistic about where we are, and it seems very clear to me, and I'm always open to anything that you all see differently as a community. It seems very clear to me that Tina also understands this. In Tina Clay, I'm talking about our councilwoman, Tina Clay for councilwoman for Ward 2, if I'm correct. Look, I knew I was going to do that to you. Sometimes we do that to each other in the morning with neither of us, but my incoming guest and the young man would have corrected me. I think she realizes right now what's happening is that this is not. The moratorium was a drag-out, 12-round plus overtime fight between the community and the city council. So let's first understand what that was. So if you're tuning on new, if you haven't heard about it, those that are coming from out of state, the clips we're putting out are starting to make it a little clearer. Yep. But in Jackson, Mississippi, we're fighting a black Democratic administration and city council just to stop data centers from coming. I want to be very clear. We're not fighting a far-right Republican administration here on the front end. Now, that may very well be who's involved with the money side of this, okay? But as far as the decision to say no, we 100% could stop everything that's happening through a majority black city council. And I'm saying that not that race is the only issue, but it's definitely part of our community issue. And we're always going to lead with that, right? What affects our community the most? And the fact that Vernon Hartley unabashedly stands as now as the president, almost as if he's been rewarded for being the lone black man that stood against the moratorium a few days ago when it was voted on. He was the only, he and Ashby Foote actually were the only two votes, if I'm correct, that went against it. Yeah. And so you saw the next step was him being given president of the city council.
Nominated by a man that barely showed up to the city council.
Nominated by Kenneth No-Show Stokes. And that's a name that's got to stick with him. And even though, you know, it's a real name, and Kenneth No-Show Stokes, he did not show up, I believe, though. May 27th, where it was the biggest thing in the city, where Sexton was trying to advance their data center on Forest Avenue, where the community resistance began. He didn't show up to that. He didn't show up to the subsequent ones. And then he showed up to push Vernon Hartley as the president. And then to vote against the moratorium. So you do the work as a community, and these council folks come in and cash in. That's essentially what happens. We're forced to go to the streets, to go to the council meetings, to go this heavy because our council people we elected are just not. As a matter of fact, they're doing the opposite. I'm yet to speak to one person in Hartley's ward who said they want a data center.
We're going to make a message. Let's call you on air. We're going to make a message. Let's call you on air.
Now, listen at data center and everything that's going on. First of all, we need candidates that are very well educated in what's going on, not just somebody put someone in position because of friendship or kinship. That's one of our problems. Deregulation tried to come up 17, 20 years ago when they had deregulations. Okay, everybody's out of Jackson now, but Jackson is just the capital city. And what they're doing now is just mixing things up and around and taking everything that Jackson, every treasure in Jackson, they trying to take over. How can you overtake a capital city? So deregulation, okay, where are they going to put this data center? And what's the effect this data center going to cause with the people that's going to be living around there? Now, a lot of things need to be really segregated out and let us know what we're doing and what's going on before we can make a conscious decision.
Yes, sir.
Our decision is not good because they're not giving us all the answers. They're not giving us the voices and they just want to look at the money that's going to come in. Money can cause harm, problems. Why haven't you taken that money and reinforced the city and helping it to grow instead of letting every city around us outgrow the capital city? See, I think our priorities is in the wrong direction. And by us being 87% black in Jackson, then you say, okay, don't even worry about it. Just kick them in the kind of way. No, we're going to stand. Right. There's a group of us going to come back, and we're going to make you straighten your butts up until you get it together. It may take a while, but I guarantee you we will win.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you are 100% correct, Colin. And I'll say this. I'll just add on to say this. You can. It's gone past just. And I think you're absolutely correct that that's how we get into a position is by the proper people being not put in positions. But we've got to double down and realize that right now we're dealing with some people that are lying to us. You know, WLP, you got the newspapers coming out with Freedom of Information Acts showing that these discussions were happening far before. You got Make It Make Sense Jackson being deemed as violent by those, LaShia Brown Thomas and Vernon Hartley, when we bring up the fact that something doesn't smell right with this. And then it turns out that everything we said is happening indeed. So these folks are going to have to deal with their sins and with their immorality. And the irony is that as we're dealing, and I'll say this, as we're dealing with coming off of the mayor, the district attorney, councilman, off of awaiting sentencing, guilty pleas on all three of them. We're watching folks sit here that are more guilty than a million times those lifetimes of even what they're accused of based on what they're doing in here right now, trying to rush these data centers into Jackson. And I don't think we have to question anymore. We know just how they got there. Gabriel Prado started the increase when he came in under John Horn. Sexum, and let's start using names, and let's start, instead of being general, and I beg of this of my people, let's start using names. So John Horn came in. First off, the reason that they're able to do the infrastructure was because of Downtown Jackson Partners Hold in a lot of ways. John Horn signed the 1996 Business Improvement District legislation that gave Downtown Jackson Partners the ability to lock down 65 blocks. Gabriel Prado then came in advancing both a power center and a data center. He came in on John Horn's transitional team. And then John Horn gave his younger brother the ability to buy all these stores in Jackson under Don Gabriel gas stations. And then he gave Gabriel Prado $1.5 million in tax incentives to help gentrify Jackson through Prado Lofts. Let's remember that. Now, let's remember this is the same mayor that told folks that Jackson voters are fickle and uneducated. Let's watch him follow this out. So then he turned around and Robert Ireland, who was his attorney on Mayor Horn's housing task team, who never even helped the city. He stepped away from Blossom Apartments because he said he had a conflict of interest. Maybe that conflict of interest was he was trying to bring a data center, because he pops back up and he's the attorney for Sexum bringing data centers in. I just hope, and this is what I pray, I'm going to shut up and give you the last word, that we get the courage and the backbone. If somebody was in our house grabbing our daughters and touching on them and hurting our wives, that we wouldn't say, man, people got to stop driving around, and we would say, that man bought these people in the house and they're hurting us. John Horn brought his transitional team in and they're hurting us. Go on and take us out of there.
That's true. I agree with everything you're saying. But I also want them to know that they have Phil Bryant. Why hadn't they attacked Phil Bryant? Why hadn't they attacked DiBiase?
You better talk about it. Yeah, that's not.
Those people that mean, look, if you can go against the mayor, you can go against the DA and one of the councilmen as quick as they did, but first, let's say 15 cents.
But there's no water system. There's no lucrative water authority. There's not $750 million left with DiBiase. Jackson, you take over their water system, and I just increased the people's bill by 12%. So I got a water authority coming. It's a lot to be gained here. And we're seeing people. Vernon Hartley said, I don't want more poor black people in my ward when the redistricting happened. We've got to start pointing at the black people that are opening the door. We know white supremacy in Mississippi created this. We know Mississippi has no real skill except earning off the back of black people. Now, that doesn't demonize everyone here, but if you want to deny that the history of this state is one of using black bodies to make money any way possible, that's just the reality. But today, in the last 35 years, since we've been addicted to the vote like a needle, I'm not saying it's not a weapon, since we've been addicted to the vote like a needle, we have watched our own people become gatekeepers and allow those in that can't do in 2026 what they could have done in 2019. So we've got to stop pretending that we're in this situation because of the white boogeyman. He's been doing what he's been doing, and it's a disrespect to our ancestors to pretend they didn't put protections in place in 2026 to keep us from going through the same thing. But when our own mayor, a baby of Jackson, this man moved to Jackson from Belzoni at 3 weeks old. That's the devil being planted in the garden. His father, Charlie Horn, is one of the most legendary, if not the most legendary black union organizer in this state. And his son is breaking labor unions by waiving licenses fees for Alaskan bus drivers so they can break the strike of black bus drivers here in Jackson. And he told us to accept the water authority. Y'all got to become as angry as you should have been when this man said, yeah, these Negroes are fickle and uneducated. And I bet you he wasn't talking about the vote. He was talking to his white friends in the state when they said, are you sure we're going to be able to accelerate our means, our water authority down to, you sure we're going to do everything, John? For a full year, you're not going to do anything for Southwest and North Jackson. You're just going to look out for us. I don't think they're going to let you do that. And John said, believe me, they fickle and uneducated. I can do it. And we proved him wrong as he sits in court now under threat of perjury for lying because he's been backed in a wall where all his lies can no longer keep up. And Reverend Crudup, Bishop Crudup is right behind him. He's right behind him supporting everything he does. We shouldn't be the only ones saying a bishop who by definition has a certain responsibility to the people, right? We should not be the only ones that make it make sense, Jackson, saying a senior member of the Christian clergy, usually in charge of a diocese and empowered to confer holy orders, should not be walking in front of a city council saying, bring on a city council. Madison and Ridgeland ain't getting all that money without me. So until that happens, they feel comfortable doing it because don't nobody say nothing when they do.
I agree with your leadership. We need greater leadership than what we have. And I appreciate y'all for standing up and helping open the blinded eyes. And a lot of things has been brought up by the churches and things that's in South Jackson that you hadn't even mentioned. I don't want to do it right now, but these things have been bought and used and then borrowed money against by Reverend Cruz. You can't do that. But it's time to think that legislators, they have open eyes that oversee this, and I can tell you what to get and how cute it's going to be. Because they moving out of the area anyway. And a lot of South Jackson has been purchased from New Horizons. No matter if it's changed or not, it has been purchased, and they're going to use it, and they can resell it for pennies on the dollar what they got it for. Wingfield High School is one of them. And that's one of the schools that was closed that this man sit back and closed, and now it's owned by New Horizons. Wingfield High School on Scanlon Drive. Okay, what you going to do with that? Well, see, a lot of things that we, it's on us because it's not being broadcast. I'm broadcasting it because I live across from Wingfield.
You ain't gonna even go there yet. We're gonna cut that out. Yes, sir.
My thing was,
we appreciate you, my brother.
I believe that what the plan was to make it into a charter school to suck more money out of Jackson Public School.
That's right. And let's be very, yes.
That's my opinion.
And then we're going to get into this water. We got water guests here with us, but this is how make it make sense rock, right? Let's be very honest with what this brother just said, brother. We're going to support you and then one up you 1,000, plus 2, and then we'll carry this forward. That's courage. That's the courage. You hear me talk, we appreciate you. That's how we break them, and that's how they get their back to the wall, and you just get, proverbially speaking, a hand on their throat of their ability to move and hurt you, and don't let them out of there. Right there. Is it Bishop Crudup? And remember the brother called in and said, well, Bishop Crudup being on the Jackson Redevelopment Authority didn't make him a bishop. I never said it made him a bishop. I said it gave him a higher platform for which to see these real estate deals. And the community is the one who feeds that to us. So all you do when you push back is you cause that to happen. Please be aware that the Make It Make Sense Jackson is a certified people's platform.
That's right.
So when you come up and you're jumping on something one of your community people say, and all you do when you push back is cause them to come live and say it and show that same courage that we hope that we lead with. So this, California, and I'm talking to my brother, my older brother, Seattle, to some of our newcomers, Maryland, DC, especially, any of my folks who jumped on from there. The brother said, and this is true, Bishop Crudup, using his position to buy a property cheap, and then that property is not at use for the main community, right? That's something New Horizon or his church buys. This is the same New Horizon church where he could have allowed that land, which right now still has potholes in it and has a big sign on it, to be used for Costco's, which would have brought thousands of jobs into our community, right? This same bishop who's supposed to care for the diocese, supposed to care for the people, this is what he did. Now, his son is in legislature. Now, nothing's illegal about this. This is what will free you. This is what had people calling 90.1 saying, why are you letting them talk like that? Because that talk like that is you starting to understand, because now you say, oh, Well, maybe I didn't understand why I lost to Bishop Crudup when he was getting land or when this was happening or when that was happening. But his son is in legislature, again, nothing illegal about this. Well, I can understand if your father's a coach in the NFL and if you're the quarterback, well, then maybe you may have a little bit of a step up on understanding how this hit game is played. But if you don't know that, then you're just sitting up there thinking that it's Sundays or Sundays. And it's not. And so that's the beginning. Then when you talk about Winfield High School, when you talk about buying it cheap, trying to use it as a charter school, Tony Yorba did the same thing, got involved in charter schools. Trying to use it as a charter school, and then, as folks accuse, bleed the education system of money through their charter school while not allowing it to be open to the masses of Jacksonians, right? Or not trying to build it out for the masses of Jacksonians, then that all starts to come out. And these are things that are known about you all. And that's why folks get mad on the radio. Nobody is sitting at home shocked when we say something. It came from the people. It's organic. The difference in saying it out loud is it frees us. Because once we speak it, then we can move accordingly.
It's kind of a predator type situation going on.
Absolutely.
Everything they can extract from Jackson, and I just don't believe that a bishop should be involved in that. Just being in a predatory situation with Jackson, knowing the situation that Jackson is, rather than help, but rather profit from the despair. It gets ugly.
Yeah, no. I think that, and it's beyond what the brother was speaking about was with Bishop Crudup. It's beyond him. And this is and jump on the Facebook page. I don't want you to have to call necessarily. Actually, you should call. And don't leave your peers sitting there hanging. I think we're all getting tired of us sitting around at the grocery stores and talking about our religious institutions and what happens in them, right? And comparing them to religious institutions where the leader's leading the right way, right? And hoping I wish my leader was like that inside, but we don't say it because you don't want to push back or be in a situation. But I think at a certain point, everyone probably has a problem with someone by definition who's a senior member of the Christian clergy. This is what a bishop is not a title that's handed around lightly. This is not an usher. This is a senior member of the Christian clergy. Slow that back and slow it down. That means that you are at the top of the top. My grandfather, rest in peace, was of the clergy. I think it should be taken very heavily. Jefferson Paramore Roger. I think it should be taken very heavily that you're ordained as a bishop, a senior member of the Christian clergy, usually in charge of a diocese and empowered to confer holy orders. There's nothing holy about you, Bishop Crudup. Marching in front of the city council and saying, I'm for data centers because Madison, Ridgeland, and especially Canton ain't about to get that money without me. Didn't even say anything about the way it would stimulate the city of Jackson. Didn't say one thing about how it would help the regular Jacksonian or the regular citizen. Came up and said, I am a Jacksonian, I'm a bishop. And John Horn has facilitated most of this is happening. And
hold on, it's not just that. It's the pom-poms and the signs.
He did have a cardboard sign. He had a cardboard sign.
For the water.
Talking about Crudup.
All of that. Like, it's ridiculous.
And what's crazy is that they've called, listen, any group that marches, they call poverty pimps. They jump on and call, I'm talking about Crudup and crowd, and call all types of names that they can. But why don't you all just do the work instead of protesting against things? These are the way that this group talks. Whether it's Crudup, Gibbs, this is the way this group talks about things, right? And they talk very similar. Crudup, Gibbs, Kim Wade, there's some other names. They all talk very similar. They just use different terms. This is a hint. Kim Wade came from the Nation of Islam. Let me show you how deep you can get into a black entity and still be against your people. He came from the Nation of Islam. Benny Thompson came from a black people's revolution. John Horn at one time considered, don't take that, when he put on that kente cloth, it was ridiculous because he was hurting the city at a high rate when they allowed him to put on that kente cloth and actually be a griot. But all of these men, Crudup, if you ask him long enough, Gibbs will tell you about how he was the first black lawyer. They'll all use blackness in their ability to get forward. But blackness disappears when it comes to their business decisions in their pockets. I'll say it. Blackness disappears when it comes to their business interests in their pockets.
Ain't that funny?
Completely. And that is you had Crudup say openly, yes, I take money from Republican and business interests. This is a bishop, mind you. This is a senior member of the Christian clergy. Jackson, Mississippi is on fire, but it's not coming from outside. Black Mississippians have had long enough to formulate a plan to withstand the attack, and it was being done extremely well until folks figured they could stick a needle called hope in our veins. And them folk wasn't white. Them folk wasn't coming from inside the big house. Them folks had visited the big house and came back out with a plan to ensure themselves and their children remained in that big house, or at least got a small big house of their own. That Butter Biscuit, John Horn, Crudup, Gibbs, Tay Woosen got out of there, right? They like, I'm getting that name down. Tavison, I got it. I was slipping a little bit, but I switched back. Look at the young man and said, Tavison, he got out of there.
You still Tavison to me.
I know. The young man is not going to allow you to be Tavison. I'm going to give you Tavison because I got that Abdul Tawab that they butcher all the time. So I'm like, when we see y'all, when y'all jump on there and say the proper pronunciation or enunciation, we appreciate you. You ain't going to pronounce KP. You can't. And tell the kid there. But yeah, this is what I give him. I give him Tavison because I'm just proud of my pronunciation. But we'll give him AKA Tavison. You know, he got out of there. Wade got out of there. Not only people that, this is the strange thing about both Wade and Tavison. Both of them were not only very well educated with the law, one being a judge and the other being a police chief, right? One in execution of the law, but they both were what was considered generally decent people no matter where you sat in the community. And I'll be very honest. Yeah. A lot of people may not like what the Horn's administration was doing while Tavison was there, but before he walked in there, he was on a school board, I believe, and people considered him a decent guy. People considered, yeah, he was respected. It seemed like at a certain point, folks are just like, I'm not willing to lose that respectability that goes along with staying with Jay Horn. Yeah, I'm not going to lose my name to Mayor Horn. Tina Clay has sat in the middle of this, and we're going to merge. We've got a guest here. Big props for her. Young Otto, a.k.a. Rashad, they will let him introduce himself from Mississippi for a Just World, but they do a lot of data center education. Make sure that folks know exactly what's happening. Just had an event at Tougaloo where they're educating folks on what can go wrong. But Otto has another special combination to this for here. When you heard us talk about our 30 for 30, when we used to go through the city with the Mississippi Rapid Response Health Center and clean up the city and come up with plans, Young Otto was in that room. And let me be real. Young Otto was in that room when we were sitting up there talking about making it make sense. You know, he just is a young man that likes to do a lot of different things, and rightfully so. But he's one of the young minds that we initially started talking about how Jackson is a mess. And I'll tell you right now, one of the first signs, if we can slide down a little, y'all, one of the first signs that the brain drain they're talking about in Jackson is not happening because the young people don't want to be here. The brain drain is happening because they're seeing their uncles, their pastors, their imams, their elders whittle away the city and throw it away to far-right, usually racist Republican interests with no concern. But Otto, welcome. Thank you for coming in here. From what I understand, you were at the city council meeting in full today.
Yes, I was. Everybody, my name is Otto. I'm a former educator. I work with Mississippi for a Just World and the Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, just trying to keep everybody tapped in on what's going on. I do want to say big up to the community last week for having over 100 people come to our data center training where people learned what was going on, and y'all was about to do a power analysis so that y'all could take back your community from these politicians that don't care about y'all. And
big up to Mississippi for a Just World, where all the works, period, because just being honest, outside of, we did something together with Jackson's People's Assembly. Outside of Mississippi for a Just World jumping in, there's not too many organizations that open their mouth about these data centers. So I just want to say that while you're sitting here. Not too many organizations had the courage to stand up and say, something's wrong, while every council person wanted this to go through. But keep going on. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Shout out to MSJW.
There was 100 people up there, so that means that if you are complaining but you wasn't at the meeting, then you don't really care about what you're talking about. But today I was at that city council meeting, and Tina Clay brought up something on the docket. This let me make sure I got my facts correct, because I don't like.
We're gonna go
words.
That's the beautiful thing.
On the docket, there was a push for renewal of a use permit for another year for WMIW LLC and Gusta LF LLC. Now the thing that tipped me off about this is that this is the same company
that's trying to build
that is doing the work with Saxon on the data centers.
So pause for a second. Now, y'all got to pay attention. We about to say everything.
That's the same. I was saying that's the same company that's building on 4th Avenue, right? Correct.
Yes, correct.
Go ahead. You know what? Finish going. Then we're going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about the ability to respond. We got to start responding to this stuff.
Looking at the facts, it says WMIW and its co-owner Gustav F. have been involved in local rezoning initiatives in Jackson. They entered an agreement with Saxon Investment Group to seek rezoning for approximately 190, now 230 acres of land along Forest Avenue. Now, Tina Clay saw that this was happening.
Hold on. Now, we got people that look, 90,000 people is our latest update, right? Meaning when someone looked at it, and we're going to dig into this. But we got to start letting loose on these folks. What time did we say 6 hours ago was what time?
6 hours ago, about 8 o'clock.
And I'm calling out to people because we want you. This isn't like saying me, shout out Mr. Wilson and KB, the young man, get it every time. But we put a lot of work, and the young man especially, I think we do this, we put a lot of work in bringing you stuff so you can get out there and put pressure before something's done to you. You're not going to be able to turn around in 30, 60 days, 6 months, and say they did this to us. They didn't do it to you. At 8 a.m., everyone that sees most of the things saw that we said before this moratorium goes into effect, there's something sneaky is on this agenda. The young man's about to go, and Otto is about to go deeper into what was in effect. But we're coming in, we're saying, and we only see a few hundred people saw, but we're coming in, we're saying, we broke everything that he's saying out. We broke out and said, this is what's happening. They're trying to sneak something in, and in 30 days, this thing is not in effect. Folks at home clapping for themselves. Oh, the moratorium was great. We clap for the step we made. But these folks, and when we go into what happened here at this meeting today, you have to understand, this is pure evil where people tell us we're going to give you a moratorium, and this is just like a ceasefire. When you look at what's happening with Israel and the United States and Iran, when the ceasefire gets spoken, it's going to happen on this date. They bomb the hell out of whoever has the power to bomb until that ceasefire takes place. Am I right or wrong? And anyone can call in and say that's exactly what happens. And this has been happening since I've been alive. They do a ceasefire, and whoever has the upper advantage bombs the life out of that other side until the ceasefire takes effect. That's the purpose of pushing it out. Yeah, I agree I'm going to stop bombing this little punk. You want to give me 5 days to finish him off, though, and make sure he can't never come back. So the city council does the exact same thing to us. They put a 6-month moratorium, but they don't put it into effect for 30 days. And then we turn around and these sneaky bastards done snuck in a different company because they think we're so stupid because we're black. These are black people that don't believe they're anything. So when Vernon Hartley says, I don't want more black people in my ward, when they were redistricting, then he becomes president, these are people that don't like themselves. You said it, not me. I don't want more poor people. However you framed it, Mr. Hartley, I was there. As you ran to the Cedars with Ashby Foote, ran around East Jackson with Ashby Foote, begging people not to trust anyone on that city council except you, Foote, and Stokes. These are black people that don't love themselves. So in their mind, well, just put WMIW, LLC, those Negroes won't know. The same Hartley that thought it was the right thing to come outside of City Hall and approach the young man when he asked him a simple question. We asked, why did you take the rape case down and not pursue a rape case? And you thought it was the right thing to cuss us and call us MFers and walk back inside. These are people that are used to having power and not being challenged, Vernon Hartley. For you to sign on to something like that after, and everyone but Tina Clay agrees with him. Don't let that Brian Grizzell, Barry Sanders fake fool you until something substantive comes. Tina Clay stood up. The rest of them stood quietly. And you all knew this was going to happen. You all knew this was going to happen. You gave us the moratorium to distract us. And you got together with Sexum. And remember, Sexum said, Robert Allen said, I'm postponing this hearing so I can have more time to get the community on board. How much did you spend to get that community on board? Non-disclosure agreement. Tell us what happened in that meeting, Otto.
So Tina Clay called it. Now I will say this. Let me put this on here, and people can go back and watch it and fact check me. Right before this, there was a push on the docket for a change, a rezoning for one of the buildings, for a building in North Jackson, about changing it to a commercial thing. Ashby Foote asked, give me what's the language on that so I can understand what do you mean that we're rezoning something into a commercial district, to a commercial building. Well, it was explained to him that if a certain area is going in the direction of, say, commercial, you have the ability, according to zoning laws, to rezone that particular area in order to meet the new precedent that's being set, correct? Well, right now...
Or to rezone it as a business, basically.
To rezone it as a business or whatever it is.
Whatever it is, absolutely.
They were rezoning a former home into an office, a law office.
Okay.
Because then that area is becoming commercial. Well, with this particular thing, WMIW is saying that they're trying to, quote, build a community recreation center at the Bebop Record Shop.
And this is on Metro Avenue, right?
Metro Avenue. Isn't most of that area commercial?
Yeah.
And what is the data center going to be?
Commercial.
So why would Ashby Foote ask this question? It is my view, given the evidence that's presented to me, that Ashby Foote is trying to get the language that is necessary so that his partners, his puppets, his handlers at Saxon can tell him what to say when it's time to rezone.
So
that
what he
area
was
to
doing
be a
was
data
putting
center
it
lot.
on record.
Yes, putting it on record to say, you heard me. And here's the thing, now people may say, now, Tina Clay brought it up and said, well, this is the same company that's looking for to build the data centers, and Hartley's going to say, well, that's in my ward, and I would never let them put a data center
Oh
in
my goodness, he did not say that.
He said, it's in my ward. If it's got something to do with the data center,
Hey,
it's not
hey, man! Listen, Ward 5, you in trouble. That man sat at Bean Path in assured business interest that he was against a moratorium in any way, shape, or form, and then voted again. And he said that.
He said it's not going to be a data center if it has anything to do. So then he said, well, wait a minute. I'm not. How many acres is the area that he owns, or that this company owns? So it's 0.85, so it's not even an acre. But so he said, oh, well, it's not going to be a data center because it's not even an acre long. Well, here's the thing. Let me tell y'all something about how data centers work. You don't have to be at the data center to run the data center. Do you think the police, when they're running those cameras across the city, that they got to be at every camera to run them? Let's think about that, guys. We can have a data center hub inside the old Bebop. We have to put our thinking caps on. Tina Clay caught it. Tina Clay caught it.
We caught it at 8 a.m. this morning. No, slow down.
Well,
No. We got to start responding better. Ain't no Tina Clay caught it. We got to collaborate with each other.
Yeah.
No, we caught this joint at 8 a.m. as a team of 3 people getting up, pushing it out to you.
Correct.
And Tina, call us. I'm going to check my email to see if we did. I'm going to check that email. I believe you did, but you're standing strong. But we got to respond to this before they get a chance to do that. As Tina's 1 against 7 asking questions. We should have been in there with our foot on their neck. There should have been public comments. I feel responsible because I couldn't make it in time, and I'm at 99% of these. But we got to start filling in these spaces and catching them before they get through with this stuff. No passion after. Listen, we moved this goalpost way forward, and this young man is giving you good information, but you got to understand, you cannot let us fall backwards. This ain't no time for heroes. This ain't no goddamn time for heroes. This is a time to get out there and catch these sneaky, stealing, conniving, coon, backstabbing council folk and leaders. Catch them in the light, catch them in the dark, bring it to light, and get them the hell out of there. Because to the young man's point, everything you're saying resonates. But what type of games are being played? Right. So what are y'all doing to Tina Clay so she don't see what's happening? That this is a surprise to her. At a certain point, we got to stand and rally for her and say, you need to come over to the community and come talk to us if they're doing this much. If they're doing this much to trick you, by the time you pop up at City Hall, did they steady jerking us? We done made progress. They're sneaking in a 30-day window everything they couldn't do before. Correct. So you don't want to give us a 6-month moratorium? We'll take the next 30 days and try to do it real quick before this. We need folks walking out of city council at this point.
We said this when we were sitting in front of the city council.
Yeah.
We were like, don't get distracted by this moratorium.
And then we got distracted by the moratorium, and now we right back the next morning. And folks, and it's not just us. The other people in the community saw this to reach out to us. Let me be very clear, this is a community thing. So when I say the we at 6 in the morning, it was people calling me at 5:15 a.m. saying, hey, you see that agenda? It's been up since the 13th. I felt like I'm slipping. I done drove my daughters to camp. I missed it. You're absolutely right. Let's take a look at it. We got to start looking at these agendas as soon as they come out. And then we got to start Googling these companies. Because when you look at it, to the young man Otto's point, on it, all you see is WMIW LLC Sam Astrahan. Who is that? Do you know him? Do you know anyone that knows him? This is how you make it small for them, right? Sam Astrahan now they were looking just to grant the extension. They were looking for extension at 3883 and 3885 Metro Drive. At first look, I didn't know who they were. I just dropped them in Google. Right. And in Google, it pulled up that they directly signed on to Forest Avenue Data Center, along with Sexton. They're one of the companies that owns that. Yep. And Vernon Hartley says if they were bringing a data center in my area,
he would stop it.
I would stop it.
He would stop it. But that's the thing, guys.
No. Ashby Foote, to the young man's point, brought up the fact that Ashby Foote started inserting certain language in there to assure.
He wanted to know what was the language.
But this was supposed to be this was simply supposed to be an order granting extension of a special exemption and use permits for 1 year. Tougaloo, Jackson State, Alcorn, Valley State. This is where we lose in Mississippi. So D.C., Maryland, Morgan State. Someone asked me from Morgan State, what's going on? What's going on is the colleges, your counterparts, where the civil rights resistance has always come from and the plethora of knowledge, they're just sitting around. It's not the student. The student body's getting active. Yes. But the leads in every department, every college I named, the political science department, none of them, Tougaloo, none of them. If it's not time to vote somebody in, they are just quiet. They're saying nothing. And thank God 90,000 you jumped on the last one and took a look. I'm gonna let 90,000 you look at this part. Go look up Tougaloo and see if they're the ones that bought you Angela Davis. I don't think they did. Look at the last time they bought anyone across their stage. But their students are fighting, crying, begging for these things. Because as soon as the people come, those students pack out. And the young lady from Tougaloo represented when we were fighting to stop them from taking our vote back. When we were met down at the convention, and the one young lady called in and talked about, or she got up on stage and talked about the things that were happening. That's what we call it. That's
Welcome to Make It Make Sense, call you on there.
Hey, I'm calling. I'm listening to you all. Great discussion. By the way, just wanted to just talk about Vernon Hartley, who he has been to the city of Jackson, to the residents of Jackson, but also around these data centers and the manipulative games that are being played, well, the deceptive games that are being played first and foremost. I don't know if you all remember, Vernon Hartley is the same councilman who said that he didn't want any more poor black residents drawn into his area, and that he wanted more downtown, more white residents, businesses, more affluent people that were in his area. Keep in mind, this is the same council person who knew exactly what ward he was running for and the caliber of people that were in your ward. And so when you begin to talk like that, that's a money grab. You want money. You want to be a part of the money. When you talk about John Horn and these games that are being played behind closed doors when it comes to data centers, I want to remind individuals, and if John Horn's colleagues at the Capitol will be honest, John Horn was called the envelope man when he was there at the Capitol for 32 years he was sitting there, because his votes were always for sale. But then when you talk about how John Horn has been having discussions about data centers behind closed doors, and this only was revealed during an open record request by media, that is problematic within itself. And so when you understand why folks were going after the former mayor, because he made a declaration that when he became mayor, we became mayor, that was problematic, because when the people became mayor or involved in the process, then we could hold the former mayor accountable. And we did that. This mayor has distanced himself from anyone who would have or critique him and surrounded himself by one yes man. We have to be unclear as who's running the city of Jackson. Kane Ditto and Governor Tate Reeves.
Yeah.
John Horn is just holding that seat. These data centers are coming to the city. It is a disgrace. It's a disgrace even for moral leaders such as Bishop Ronnie Crudup Sr., who stood before council and said that he was for data centers and that Jackson was missing out on an economic development opportunity. The sifting of a faith leader to put profit or economic development being of a community, you don't give a hoot whether they're dead or alive, died. You know, they incur these large increased water bills that they already can't pay.
And development for who? I think that's a good point you're making, but talk to him. Development for who? He's speaking about development he's not even pretending is going to reach us.
Economic development for who? That's right. It is for them, right? Because when you make false claims that the ad valorem tax will go up, significant base tax, the amount of tax, ad valorem tax, whatever it was a percentage so discounted for these data centers to come in. Now, the economic development is for their own personal gain.
That's right.
Which contractors are you going to allow me to put in place? Now, look at what has happened to the former mayor, right? And the allegations and charges that came upon him. This mayor, off the rip, coming in the door.
Yeah.
Making deals behind closed doors. And so I'm glad that the judge sworn him in today, because he spoke under oath, saying that there had been no concrete plans for data centers to come in, that nothing was on the table, that everything was, speculation and talk. There had been no plans brought to the city.
He said this under oath, even as his right-hand man, and we got to land this plane. We're running out of time here. Okay, well listen, we're going to have you call back in and finish that tomorrow, Sister. But let me just say that it's crazy for him to say that, and we appreciate you. Crazy for him to say, listen, first off, go online, rewind that last part back, because that's a lot of information right there that's very important and very true. We have uncovered, this is the beauty, where comments like this young lady, this sister made, Danielle just made, comments like that go right in hand with everything we just proved to you, right? So think of that 2 cities, 1 Jackson. Think of, go back to 96, when we should go back to Charlie Horn. How he became at Presto. He was over the black workers. Kane was over working with the white workers, right? That's why we call Kane Ditto John's godfather, right? Yeah. And then think about the fact that in 1996, Charlie Horn drops out of the union altogether. He pushes Benny Thompson on one hand and John Horn on the other hand into the Senate. John Horn in 1996 co-authors the legislation called BID legislation. Kane Ditto then runs with that legislation, so much so Charles Tisdale sues him and Downtown Jackson Partners, then CCI, for stealing money and siphoning it to Downtown Jackson Partners. So when they say that this is being run by Kane Ditto, he's the one that bought him in there before, and he 100% is true. For my co-host, shout out Mr. Wilson, and for my special guest, we appreciate all of y'all. We love you, and we're out. I'm Tarek Abdul 12. See you next time. We appreciate you all. That was on us. That short, that highway was crazy. That highway was crazy. Yes. Let me keep this so it don't hit nobody's face. I ain't bring you on for that. You admitted you ain't tell the truth. That's all we needed, sister. You admitted you lied. Uh-oh, sister, I ain't gonna argue with you. You done jumped out your shirt. You admitted you lied now, sister. Don't do that. No, I didn't. You recorded saying to my sister. Oh, they get so mad. Just take it. Brenda, I was about to talk great about you, man. Listen, y'all. I was about to tell y'all, we got a new term called Brended. When you do it the right way, right? Because at least Brenda told the truth on the call, remember? At least she told the truth. What's going on, Mr. Fair? All right. See, Mr. Fair said what's up to me. He still got a little bit of love. So we told Brenda this last time. Y'all remember. I knew that's why I said keep alive, because I know they always try it. I said keep alive. Yeah, it was on air. Brenda, I was going to give you kudos for standing up and taking it on the chest, sister. God, you all right by me. I was going to say you took it like a bigger man. We try to look out for people and give him kudos. So I was actually going to give Brenda kudos today for saying you got on there and admitted that was a state, not the full CWA like you told the Jackson Advocate. That's all we told her. Let me just go on and hit that station because you know we gonna head out. But yeah, no, that's just so you understand. Can you take that from your man? Put that back. Just so you understand what just happened there. We just always want you to understand that. That was Brenda from the union, from local, and what this Jackson. Say it one more time. Jackson Federation of Teachers 442. That was Miss Brenda. Now, what that came from was last time we won the show, we pulled open the Jackson Advocate and we read to you verbatim where Miss Brenda said to the Jackson Advocate that the Communications Workers of America, CWA, endorsed John Horn. She did not say this local. She did not say the state of Mississippi. She said CWA. I am a former member of CWA for 15 years. Communications Workers of America through Verizon. I called, this was during the election. So Brenda, every time you push this, we're going to tell the truth again. And she came on there and admitted, and I'm surprised she went back. I think those emotions got the best, and we understand that, sister. I didn't go in there, I left as soon as you got rowdy. But you came on the air and you admitted, okay, well, maybe I misspoke. And then you admitted when I told you to tell the people that, you said, well, maybe I wasn't listening. But you clarified on there, Brenda, so I don't know what you think coming in there full of chest talk about you lied. No, ma'am. Jackson Advocate says that you said CWA endorsed John Horn, the entire Communications Workers of America. They did not, my sister. They didn't, simply put. And it's okay. Jeez Louise, y'all keep getting caught up in your lies and you getting mad at us for putting it out there. Sister, you shouldn't have told Jackson Advocate that, or you should have told them to correct it. You didn't. You happened to bump into another union member who recognized that the full CWA endorsing someone like John Horn wasn't likely. So I called the CWA. We called multiple times. They told us we don't know who John Horn is. You're talking about Benny Thompson. We're not supporting him right now. I said, no, John Horn. Deborah came on last week's show, and she said, I admit that there was a confusion. I was saying the state of Mississippi supported John Horn, not the full CWA. I said, Sister Brenda, you should tell the people that. I said this back during the elections, because she was pushing for John Horn. I said, you should at least be honest to the people that the full CWA is not, oh, well, okay, whatever. Walked off. and you admitted on there that you didn't do that. So this is nothing big, y'all. This is never going to become something with our sisters or aunts. But this is for you all. We're your platform. So it's a 60-year-old woman. It's a 70-year-old woman. It's a 12-year-old girl. There are people that are being affected by you all's decisions, and she helped John Horn get in office, and now we're paying the price with Gabriel Prado, Robert Ireland, just everyone he's bringing in. And the sister called in and said he was called the envelope man. Well, you helped the envelope man get in office, Sister Deborah. Now, that's not the worst thing. I've done things I'm not proud of, but you can't come through here yelling at us, calling us liars when you told the Jackson Advocate the full CWA endorsed them, and then you came on our show and said, oh, well, I just met the state of Mississippi. We got to get better than this, people, and we got to stand on things. Your move is hurting people in Jackson. What you should do now is to stand up and say, we all make mistakes, Tark, and hell, I got a lot that I'm not proud to talk about. But you can't do this, come back in here and call us liars because we simply say what you did. So, on that note, we're going to get out of here, y'all. We're going to close it out. The woman, they scared me, so I'm getting out of here, y'all. I mean, if it was fellas running around me, I'd be all right, but now I'm getting out of here. Love you, Jackson.